All right, thank you so much for your time and attention this afternoon, and welcome to the Duke Canvas Town Hall for Fall 2023. We are recording today, and we do have captions available. My name is Michael Green. I'm here with Seth Anderson and Ashley Walker. We're going to discuss kind of an overview of the transition to Canvas today. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions ahead of time. We have taken them and structured today's update to cover many of those topics. We will have additional time at the end for questions, so please use the Q&A tool to submit questions, and we'll be reviewing those and getting those ready to go to discuss at the end of the session. If you are having technical difficulties, you can use the chat and use the hosts and panelists option, and someone will try to help with any technical difficulties you are having. So we're going to cover quite a bit today, but the things to remember are, if for after you leave today, are to go to the go.canvas.duke.edu website. You will be hearing that many times today. That is the home for all things Canvas. If you have a question that you need to email, contact someone at Duke about, we have a canvas@duke.edu address. And if you want to subscribe to email updates about Canvas, there's a bit.ly/LMS_emails, and that will send you to a Qualtrics form to sign up for our email updates about Canvas. So the game plan for today is we have kind of 5 major topics that we want to cover. The first of which is to provide you with background information on the LMS transition. The second of which is to describe your options for learning how to use Canvas this fall in preparation for next spring and next fall. We're going to describe that getting started process for those that are teaching in the spring. We are going to explain how the transition from will be taking place at DKU as well. And then at the end, we'll kind of wrap up with a summary of everything we covered and the takeaways. So the first question that some of you may be asking is, why are we leaving Sakai? It's a platform that has served you well over the past decade, but there have been 3 primary drivers for us switching. The first of which is that Sakai is an open source community-driven platform, and that open source community has been declining to an unsustainable level. And as fewer institutions remain there, the more burden falls on Duke to kind of evolve that platform. The second primary driver is that Duke's needs have continued to evolve and grow over the years in favor of something that works a little bit differently. One area in particular is around accreditation needs in places like the School of Nursing and the School of Medicine. As well as past moves to Canvas, such as Fuqua's move several years ago. And the third primary driver was limits on third-party integration. We'll talk about this several times today. In order for Sakai to connect to external applications like Gradescope and Zoom, the developers of those applications have to build those integrations. And as that community of Sakai institutions dwindles, those third-party vendors are less and less willing to build those integrations. So the flip side of that coin is, then why are we moving to Canvas? And you'll find that Canvas is equal or better than Sakai for most teaching and learning related tasks. Today's session isn't meant to be a workshop on specific features, but we do have several that we'd like to highlight. First is that you can do pretty much everything in Canvas that you used to do in Sakai, right? So here we've got a table comparing the major tools, and there is an equivalent in Canvas. Up next is a tool called SpeedGrader. Right, the SpeedGrader interface is far more powerful than anything that's offered in Sakai. You can view submission details for each student, including resubmitted assignments. You can sort submissions by student and hide student names for anonymous grading. You can track your grading progress and hide assignments while grading. You can use rubrics and leave multimodal feedback. So if you were frustrated by Sakai's grading interface and felt like Gradescope wasn't a great fit for you, then you'll have a great new option in the SpeedGrader. Canvas is very different from Sakai when it comes to mobile. So Canvas has native mobile applications on iOS and Android for both students and teachers, and it brings the most important features for each of those populations to the forefront, right? So there's dedicated apps for students and faculty, or students and teachers. And this includes useful features like push notifications, things we weren't able to deliver with the Sakai platform on mobile devices. Canvas's infrastructure for analytics and insights is a huge improvement over Sakai as well. You can view a variety of data as either an interactive chart graph or a data table. You can compare course averages with an individual assignment, a course section, or even a student filter. You can view weekly course participation. You can send messages to all students or to individual students based on specific course grades or participation criteria. And you can view and download reports on missing, late, or excused assignments, the class roster, and course activity. So that quick preview illustrates how this transition isn't just about parity with Sakai. We're building a platform of technologies and services to remove barriers between you and your students, and the learning objectives of your courses and programs. At a strategic level, our goal is to offer much more than just a learning management system. Through our partnership with both OIT and Canvas, we're creating a platform of technologies and services to help solve the next decade's teaching and learning problems. As we mentioned already, third-party integration is a key feature in this strategy. It's core to our learning technology strategy, and Ashley will be discussing current and future Canvas integrations later in the session. We're going to offer 24/7 support for instructors and students through the Canvas service desk. With a tool called Canvas Impact, our support documentation and that help desk are brought right inside the platform. So you don't have to go out and find help. It's available right inside of the Canvas interface. With a set of tools called Canvas Commons, you can share individual assignments, modules, and even entire courses with your department or all of Duke. And because Canvas is the leading LMS across higher education, you gain access to a global network of content, of community, of interinstitutional collaboration opportunities that were previously much more difficult on Sakai. And finally, the platform is configured to support more than just undergraduate and graduate education, right? It's configured to support the entire lifetime learning opportunities that Duke offers from pre-college to post-career, an understanding of the many ways and times that one starts that learning journey and travel through work, life, learning, all as an interconnected flow. And this enables you and your learners to leverage the same technologies for teaching and learning, regardless of whether that experience is curricular or not. Now I'm going to hand it off to Seth to talk more about Duke's transition to Canvas.
Right, thank you, Michael. So we wanted to start out by sharing some insights from our early adopters. We've already got a set of faculty and instructors who are using Canvas with their classes. Some of them used it this past summer, some of them are using it currently this fall. So we just kind of reached out to ask them what they thought about the transition, what they're thinking about Canvas at this point, and we wanted to share some of those insights with you. So first of all, here's a few nice words about Canvas's interface, about it being more user-friendly, some functionality of SpeedGrader for assignments. Michael talked a little bit about SpeedGrader a moment ago. So we're encouraged to see that those are positive improvements. We're also hearing from folks that the transfer of content between Sakai and Canvas is turning out to be a very easy process. And that's in no small part thanks to the in-house developed migration tool we developed. And you'll learn a little bit more about migration between Sakai and Canvas in just a few minutes. Finally, here's a few more comments about the more modern aesthetic of Canvas and its functionality within the mobile apps. We're hearing that folks are really enjoying those interactions via the mobile apps. which is another thing that Michael mentioned. So if you want to hear from some more instructors who are currently using Canvas, we want to invite you to drop into our Canvas kickoff event tomorrow, which is going to be held from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Holsty Anderson Family Reading Room of the Rubenstein Library. It's a drop-in event. You needn't come for 3 full hours. There will be plenty of faculty there available to both mingle with you and talk to you about their experience using Canvas this semester. And we'll also have some machines set up so that they can show you what they're doing within their Canvas sites. If you've got questions about how certain things might work, they can take you in there and show you how they've addressed their content in their Canvas sites. All right, so now that you've heard a little bit from Michael about why we're moving to Canvas, we want to talk a little bit more about the when and the how. So the big question, of course, is when can I start using Canvas? And the answer to that is Canvas. Our intention is that Canvas will be Duke's primary learning management system beginning next spring, in spring 2024. Everybody, you hear the panic across campus. That I want to also point out that Sakai is still going to be available in spring 2024 if an instructor chooses to opt out of moving to Canvas for one final semester. So we would like for most classes to be available via Canvas next semester, but we understand that it's a difficult thing to ask folks to make a transition during a school year. So if that's not possible for whatever reason, you're still going to be able to use Sakai during spring 2024, and you can opt to choose to learn how to use Canvas this fall, next spring, and over the summer, and start using Canvas in fall 2024, should you so choose. So that's the next logical question is, when can I no longer use Sakai for teaching? And I sort of implied there the answer to that, which is that Sakai is no longer going to be available for course use beginning summer term 1, 2024. So spring 2024 is the last semester in which you'll be able to actually teach courses in Sakai. We also want to point out that Sakai is going to be accessible to instructors through July 1st, 2025. So you'll still be able to go into Sakai and access your content and move things around to get them into the Canvas platform. We're just not going to have courses taught from Sakai beginning in that summer term 1 of next year. So, okay, you've told me I'm going to have to switch to Canvas. How can I learn how to use it? So learning opportunities are available to you now and are going to continue through summer of 2024. We've put together a lot of different ways in which you can learn to use Canvas, either with experts and your colleagues, or you can choose to learn it on your own. I want to highlight just a few of those things right now, but as Michael mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, the most important thing for you to remember probably from this entire experience is the Go Canvas website. So go.canvas.duke.edu has all of the information that we're giving you today, and also links to all of the training, links to all the events that we're doing, links to all the workshop signups, links to all the one-on-one help sessions, all these things that I'm about to highlight for you. So just remember go.canvas.duke.edu and you're going to be golden. Okay. So one thing that we're going to end up doing is offering Canvas training workshops. These are the more sort of traditional, sit me down and have an instructor show me how to use the tool. They're going to be offered via Zoom, and they're going to be offered several times throughout the fall semester, beginning, I believe, next week. So we're varying the day of the week and the time of day that these workshops are going to be offered, because we understand that everybody's teaching, and it's hard to kind of find time to come to these sorts of live 60 to 75-minute seminars. So hopefully you'll be able to find one of these series of workshops that works for you throughout the semester if coming to a training workshop is sort of your desired pathway for learning how to use Canvas. Again, more information available on the gocanvas.duke.edu website. And I noted there that if you click on the Prepare for Spring 2024 button, which is highlighted in the middle of the go.canvas.duke.edu page, it lists essentially all of your opportunities for training right there up front. Something else that we've set up our sort of interaction on this website for you to do is to learn how to use Canvas on your own. So again, if you go to the website and you click on the Prepare for Spring 2024 button, you will find a link to self-paced training materials and training videos, both of which mimic the workshop training that we do. The self-paced training materials walks you through step-by-step documentation that shows you how to do the things that we show you in the workshops. The training videos are actually the same content that we deliver in the workshops, just broken down into smaller, sort of easier to digest pieces. There's also information in there about the Growing with Canvas site The Growing with Canvas site is a fully developed website inside the Canvas platform that was developed by Instructure, which is the company that designed Canvas, to provide you with an opportunity to learn how to use Canvas within Canvas. So you become a student in the Growing with Canvas site, which gives you also sort of a unique insight in terms of being able to see the Canvas site as a student. But you go through the Growing with Canvas site as a student, and it walks you through learning the basics of how to be an instructor and how to create a Canvas site on your own. So that's a great option for learning how to use Canvas. Also, on the go.canvas.duke.edu website, you'll see that there's lots and lots of crosswalk information. This basically is information that provides you with comparisons between things that you're used to seeing in Sakai, features and tools, and how those things equate to things that you could find inside the new Canvas platform. So that's definitely a useful tool if you're going to plan to learn to use Canvas on your own. Right. So once I've learned to use Canvas, what's the process for creating a course going to look like inside there? So each semester at Duke and at DKU, Canvas is automatically going to create course shells for every course that's listed in Duke Hub. This is different from the way things work in Sakai. If you use Sakai now, you know that you need to go in and actually activate your courses each semester. Well, in Canvas, the system is automatically going to create course shells for every single course. What you will do at that point, Porter, if you're not teaching a course in Canvas, you simply don't publish the course to make it not available to students. If you are teaching a course in Canvas, you need to just publish that course and then it'll become visible to the students in your class. So we think that's going to be a little bit easier, make one less step for you to follow each semester when you're getting ready to teach your courses. Another thing to note is that there are going to be tools available to you for combining sections for combining sections of your courses and for combining courses that are cross-listed across different subject areas at Duke. So there's instructions for that in all of our materials, that you'll be able to do that on your own. You're also going to be able to, when you begin to initially set up these sites in Canvas, you're going to be able to request that you have content migrated over from an existing site, Sakai site, using the migration tool, and you'll learn a little bit more about that in a few minutes. You can also choose just to start building your course sites in Canvas from scratch. Or long down the line, once you've been using Canvas for a while, you might find that the easiest way to begin creating a course inside Canvas is to move that content directly from one Canvas site, a previous course that you've taught, into another, similar to the way that many people do it in Sakai right now. Okay. We also want to mention that there's lots of different ways. Canvas is very flexible. You saw some of the comments from our early adopter faculty. Because there's many different ways to design and set up your courses inside Canvas, we've actually developed a recommended process for organizing your course using the Canvas modules tool. And the reason that we've done this, and the reason that a lot of our training materials follows this recommended process, is to make the navigation of and the use of Canvas sites more clear to students and generally consistent across courses. There's documentation on how to set up your course this way, and it's peppered throughout all of our training materials. And that sounds a little bit strange. Of course, the ultimate decision of how you design your course in Canvas is up to you. But I think you'll see when you get in there and start messing around with it that there's a lot of different possibilities, and it can become confusing to students if there's not at least some sort of general consistency. So we've just decided to develop this recommended process and teach the Canvas course design process this way in order to help develop some consistency. All right, so this is actually a screenshot of Canvas. This is just to give you an example of what it looks like, the kind of thing we're talking about. So this is kind of a standard course homepage, just a dummy page that we created for training purposes. It just shows what you get into when you load up a Canvas page, if you've got basically a page set as the home experience for students. You can put all sorts of stuff in here. You can put course information, you can put a nice banner, you can put links to different things. But the course itself, in the vein of our sort of course design process, is actually run through the modules tool. And this is the Growing with Canvas sites modules page that shows you how you can actually go in and in a very organized way set up your course content so that students understand. In this particular case, it's done by subject. A lot of people will do it by week or by course meeting date, things like that. But it's a modular setup, and it makes perfect logical sense. And as you begin to go through the Canvas training process and learning how to use Canvas, I think you'll understand why that's part of our recommended course design process. You'll have a lot of time to ask us questions about that over the coming semesters, and we're more than willing to help you figure out the best way to make your content work inside of the Canvas platform. All right, so speaking of getting course design help during this transition, how can I get some course design help during the transition? So we have actually set up a number of one-on-one Canvas consultation meetings. These are 25-minute Zoom meetings with a Learning Innovation staff member that you can sign up for when you find that you need one. These are not meant for training. They're really meant to help you address remaining issues and concerns that you have after you've sort of learned the Canvas platform and you're starting to work on your course. Like say, for example, you're in there and you say, okay, I get it. I've worked in my sandbox and kind of put together a little dummy course, but now I've got this massive sort of pool of content that I've been using for years, and I need a little bit of help envisioning how to get my content into the Canvas platform. That's what these meetings are for. Perfect time to come to us and ask us for some assistance in thinking through the process of putting your content into Canvas in a way that makes logical sense. We can also give you a little bit more of a deep dive into some of the tools that are not covered heavily within the training documentation that's available on our website. So if you need to learn a little bit more about a specific tool, you can sign up for one of these Zoom meetings. Point is, don't come to one of these meetings and say, hey, I've not touched Canvas, I've never logged in, I've got 25 minutes now, can I learn it? You really can't. These are really meant to be, like I said, an opportunity for you to address issues and concerns that pop up once you begin working with your own content inside Canvas. Okay? All right. So what about if I need help using Canvas, the Canvas platform itself? Like what happens if I get in there and I say, oh, I don't remember how to do these things that I learned? Well, there's some fabulous news for you, and that is that faculty, staff, and students can access 24/7 help through the Canvas support team. So that means, unlike the way that we support Sakai now, which is in-house, so OIT and Learning Innovation staff, although I think we do a very good job, we're not always available 24/7. So through this particular part of our contract with Canvas, you're actually able to connect with them immediately if you need help inside the Canvas platform at any time of day. And you'll see that Canvas also has extensive help documentation inside the platform. So you can sort of start by trying to get the help you need with the Canvas documentation inside the platform itself. And if you don't find what you need, there's a natural flow that takes you right into this Canvas 24/7 help experience. So how does that look? So if you go into Canvas, you have a global navigation menu over on the left-hand side of the page, which is that blue menu with all the little pictures on it. And down at the bottom, you see there's a help button. And when you click that help button, a window pops up that takes you to the lost panda, cute little guy. And right underneath him is a link that says Get Help with Canvas. When you click Get Help with Canvas, a context-sensitive window will pop up that tells you where it sort of gives you an opportunity to sort of answer a question about places that you see, questions about things that could be bothering you in the place where you are at that moment. That's what context sensitive means. That wasn't a great way to state that. But if you can't find what you need inside the Canvas help itself, at the very bottom of that context sensitive window, you'll see the link to email, call, and chat, which takes you to immediate help from the Canvas team. And we think that's honestly going to be a big improvement in terms of support for you. So you'll be able to access it whenever you need it, evenings, nights, weekends. All right, now I'm going to turn it back over to Michael to talk a little bit more about some of the other transition information.
Sure, so there's a couple big questions we get from lots and lots of people, one of which is, will there be project sites in Canvas? And very excited to say that the answer is yes, there will be. They are called Canvas collaboration sites. And if you visit go.canvas, click on resources, and then click on collaboration sites, that gives you all this information and a lot more about how you can and can't use collaboration sites and how to request one and all that. So we've listed here some of the example use cases, one of which is really popular right now is I just need a sandbox. I need a play space that I want to begin exploring Canvas. I want to use one of my course shells for that. And so a collaboration site is a great way to get that. You can make that happen. There's, of course, the regular things that you use a Sakai project site for, those are also available for collaboration sites as well. After submitting that form, someone from the Canvas service team will review your request and get back with you with information about your collaboration site and whether other Duke technologies may be a better fit for what you're trying to do or may help do things a little bit better. The other big question we get a lot is, can content from Sakai be migrated to Canvas? We've alluded to that already, and the answer is another excited yes in this front. So if you visit go.canvas, click on Prepare for Spring 24, then you can click on Migrating Content from Sakai. And there's a lot of information about making your migration successful. And everything you need to know about migration is available on that page. So the Canvas migration tool that OIT and Learning Innovation built will move data from the most heavily used tools, the ones listed on the screen here. Some tools in Canvas, or some tools from Sakai do not have an equivalent in Canvas, and therefore there's no way to migrate that content. And some tools have really particular settings, or they're focused on student data, and that's not the kind of thing that we're migrating either. So the goal of the migration tool is to get you what you need to prepare to teach that course again in Canvas. It's not meant to move as a long-term storage option, stuff from Sakai to Canvas. So the request process, you are able to request up to 5 Sakai sites to be migrated at a time. And if you need more than 5, then you can submit another request later. Instructors who have taught the same course for multiple years should select the most recent version and then migrate that one. You don't need to request each iteration of a Sakai site be migrated. You can just request the latest one or the most polished one or something like that. After the migration is complete, as I mentioned, a Canvas transition team member will reach out to you. In the site, there will be a series of pages. Pages is one of the tools in Canvas, similar to lessons in some ways. So a series of pages will be created for you to review, and they will note any of the changes that have occurred. An example we list here, right? So if a gradebook setting you used in Sakai is not available in Canvas, then that'll be set in this log letting you know, hey, this is a difference, and you should think about how you want to handle that. And so these pages, you should review them thoroughly for any errors or things that you need to address before you offer your site. And this next slide has a screenshot of what these look like. So on the left here is just a list of pages, right? And we've got some emoji and all caps important, letting you know these are things that you need to review. And then on the right is this very detailed example, this log of what did and didn't come over from the migration. Let's see. So the migration tool is still in active development. So as we find more niche items that may have not migrated as well as possible, we look to address them and resolve them in future migrations. After a migration, if you find that things did not migrate well or they did so in an unanticipated way, please let us know by emailing canvas@duke.edu. And now I'm going to hand it off to Ashley to discuss external tool integrations with Canvas.
Okay. So what external tools will be available in Canvas to users across the university? Okay. So these are some that were available in Sakai. You are probably familiar with them. We have Zoom, Gradescope, EdDiscussion, WarpWire, Hypothesis, PlayPosit are most heavily used tools. And then we have some newer ones, not newer, but Voicethread, LinkedIn Learning, Evolve, Panopto will be available starting spring 24. And then the library course reserves will be available in fall of next year. We also have new tools available. So we have MATLAB is already available, Box, Woo, Clap, Office 365, Cengage, Elsevier, CD Labs, and UDoIT will be available this coming week. So be on the lookout for those two. Next one. We are currently investigating these 3 for potential integration. So Google Drive GitHub Classroom, and Microsoft Teams. And if you have any questions about integrations or any ideas of something that you want to get looked at for integrating, we can provide information for that and investigate if those will be possible for you as well.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. Right. We're going to spend just a few minutes talking a little bit about how Canvas transition is going to look over at Duke Kunshan University. Our colleagues at the Center for Teaching and Learning at DKU have provided us with the following information about their plan for the transition. So at DKU, all DKU courses will be in Canvas in spring 2024 by default. And if an instructor at DKU wants to use Sakai in the spring semester, they're going to need to fill out a request form by late November. The Sakai request form, information that I'm about to give you about training time and locations and these office hours is all going to be shared with DKU instructors via an email from the DKU VCAA office. And it'll all be posted on the Center for Teaching and Learning website as well. So don't try to scramble and write all this stuff down. We just want to give you an overview and let you know, DKU instructors, that there's a plan in place for you as well. So at DKU, they've got some Canvas training coming up beginning in October. They've got several in-person, 2 rounds of in-person workshops and a round of online-only workshops in mid-November. They're also going to be offering office hours in different locations around the DKU campus and online via Zoom. So you'll be able to take advantage of those. And again, I just want to mention that you'll receive an email if you're a DKU instructor with all this information and all these times. So don't worry about trying to grab all this information off the screen. Okay, all right. Okay, so only 30 minutes in, we've kind of moved through all the information that we want to provide with you, and we're going to kind of focus from this point forward on answering your questions. But to kind of sum everything up, we've got a nice little slide here that just basically summarizes for you what your next steps are. So right now, you should probably begin learning Canvas, and your options for doing that include signing up for some of those Canvas workshops that we mentioned this fall, viewing the how-to videos and self-paced guides to using Canvas at Duke that are available on our website, reviewing the Growing with Canvas training site, which I talked a little bit about earlier, and also you should request a sandbox site via the collaboration site request form. This gives you a working site where you can go in and sort of mess around with Canvas, mess around with the different tools, play with it, learn how to use them on your own. Try the things that you're learning as part of the videos or the Canvas workshops, things like that. Sandbox is definitely a useful tool, so you're not actually in there messing around with active course sites. And when it comes time to begin preparing for spring 2024, after you've sort of learned the basics of the Canvas platform, what you need to do first at that point is to start by determining what sites you're going to need migrated from Sakai in order to teach beginning in the spring. And then, as Michael mentioned, you'll request that those Sakai sites be migrated over. If questions arise, you can book a one-on-one consultation with a DLI staff member. I mentioned those earlier. And then you'll be able to begin building your actual spring 24 course sites starting in October. I think I saw a question pop by in the Q&A about when the actual course sites are going to appear. As soon as the feed comes over from the registrar's office into Canvas, all the spring 24 sites will be available. We anticipate that happening in mid-October, I believe, mid-October. So you should actually be able to begin building your spring 24 sites in reality beginning in October. Again, something else you can do though is if you request a sandbox site, you can start putting your content together in there ahead of time. So that's why we recommend doing that as part of your learning how to use Canvas options in the first set of steps there. Okay, so I hope all that makes sense. Again, all of that information is reiterated and provided for you on the go.canvas.duke.edu website. We honestly think that it's a very sort of well-appointed website, and we hope that it's going to be sort of like the one-stop shopping spot for you as you go through the Canvas transition over the next year or so. All right, so that basically ends our prepared section of the town hall. But what we wanted to do is we've got a number of other Duke Learning Innovations staff who've been answering questions for you inside the Q&A tool. And I believe all those folks can unmute themselves and speak if they would like to. So I don't know, is there someone who's been answering questions in the Q&A who would like to kind of let us know if there's any sort of pressing questions that we might need to answer on our end, or if there's stuff that you're hearing a lot about that you want to share with everybody?
There are a number of questions about collaboration sites. Where can people access a request form? When can they ask for a site to be migrated, et cetera? If we could perhaps have a little more detail on that, please, that would be great.
Sure.
Yeah, why don't you pull up the website and show us?
Sure. Yeah, you want to stop share and switch over to
Yeah,
that?
let me see if I'm smart enough to do. Okay.
Perfect. So this is the go.canvas website, and the collaboration site request form is under resources. And you can click through on it right there. It will also be available via a left-hand menu here. So if you're somewhere else under resources, you can access it there. Oh, I clicked too far. And so this is some information about the types of things you can request a collaboration site for. The actual request process is done by clicking the button down below. It is a Qualtrics form, and
Need my fingerprint.
we will authenticate. And then this is the same, it's a very similar workflow at this point to what you experienced at Sakai. For some time, there's a terms and conditions. These have always been available in the Sakai documentation. We're just putting them at the front of the process here. And it's a fairly straightforward form. If you want a sandbox, that is an option here. If you need a more traditional collaboration site, then you can click here, and it walks through a really short form around like, what do you want to do? Help us kind of like understand what you want to do. And if I've got some documents, I need to create some modules, and maybe we'll do some discussion there. And then you just have to come in and give us the name of the site, a brief description. If you want, this third one is not required, but if you do want a Sakai project site to be migrated as part of this, into this Canvas collaboration site, you can paste the URL of that Sakai site there, and then we'll kind of 2-for-1. We'll migrate that Sakai project site, create your Canvas collaboration site, and then reach out to you when that's done. And that's it. I'm not going to submit the actual form, but that's the end of it. So I hope that answers folks' question there. Again, just let's go back. Right. So your go.canvas, under resources, collaboration sites. That's where you get started on those.
I think, did you say, Heather, that there were lots of questions about actually working on fall 24 sites, or sorry, spring 24 sites? I'll just mention again that as soon as we get the feed from the registrar's office with the spring 2024 course site information, those will be available and visible to you inside Canvas. So again, we anticipate that being sometime in mid-October. You can go into Canvas, you can start learning Canvas, you can request a sandbox and start messing around in Canvas now in order to sort of prepare yourself for when those course sites are available. But you won't actually see the course sites until the registrar's feed is sent over sometime in October.
And if you do a migration, or you create a sandbox and you want to start building stuff for spring now, go ahead, do it, right? There's no reason not to do that. When they become available, it is very, very straightforward to import content from one Canvas site to another, right? So you can start working today on building stuff for spring. When your real shell comes available, we've got documentation and everything ready to help you out. Just migrate that content over. You don't feel like you have to wait till October if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's very easy to move stuff from a sandbox site into your actual course site once that becomes available. So, yeah.
See, we do have a couple. So Tina, I see you have a question, and we'll reach out to you about that. I'm not concerned. Don't be concerned. We'll answer that offline. Oh, no, Marty's gonna answer it live. No, he's not. Don't do a lot of webinars. It's okay. Let's see, I think Randy's answering. Yeah, so I just want to say thank you so much to our colleagues who answered all the questions so far.
Yeah, again, those of you who've been answering questions, do you see large themes? And I know everybody can read the questions and answers that are going on in the Q&A tool, but it might be that folks were paying attention to those of us who are presenting and not reading the Q&As. So are there themes among the Q&As that you all want to sort of bring up and let folks know that you've answered?
One of them was about the grade pass back between Canvas and Duke Hub.
Good question.
Just letting everyone know it's currently under development. We're hoping for it to be live at the end of the fall semester, so that way it would be also available for the spring semester. But it's currently under development, so we don't have anything to show or to mention beyond that.
Right, so to clarify that a little bit, that's the feature whereby you remember in Sakai, you used to be able to click a button and it would send grades to.
Well, it's the other way. It's like,
Oh,
it's called
sorry.
Sakai Connect in Duke Hub.
Gotcha,
You go to
right.
Duke Hub and you pull them over.
You pull them over from Sakai, yeah. So similar functionality whereby you'll be able to move grades from Canvas into Duke Hub will be available later. It's under development now, as
That's
what
right.
Marty was saying. That's
That's
what that functionality is that Marty's referring to.
Yeah, we know that the connections between Canvas and Duke Hub are really, really important, and we've worked quite closely with that team over there. And really pleased with where we've landed. Our goal has been to kind of keep things familiar to you, right? So the way it works in Canvas in terms of my waitlisted students there, yes, are they, how it works should feel similar to Sakai, but better, right? I think Marty answered a question earlier, whereas in Sakai, we could only run those enrollment changes a couple times a day. We're running them much more frequently in Canvas, so they should feel, they're not real time, but they are much more accurate and up to date than they were in Sakai. Similarly with the grade passback, right? That workflow you got used to with Sakai Connect should feel very familiar with Canvas Connect, but hopefully a little bit better as well. So that's the approach we've been taking. But if you find issues, email us at canvas@duke.edu so we can continue to investigate them after the session.
Any other large scale type questions that we want to bring up to everybody? If not, sorry, go ahead, Marty, sorry.
There's likely to be an overarching theme for a lot of instructors trying to replicate what they did in Sakai into Canvas, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we want to make sure instructors know Canvas is not Sakai 2.0. There are differences. There are some things Sakai did a little weird, Canvas will do a little bit better, or potentially Canvas doesn't have an equivalent. So that would be something to reach out to the Learning Innovation team to receive help on potentially finding an alternative that works in Canvas.
Yeah, I would say that's a perfect example of if you are in a situation where you say, I get it, I understand how to use Canvas, but I kind of had it the way I wanted it in Sakai and I can't quite figure out how to make it work the same way in Canvas. That is a perfect use case for those one-on-one meetings that I mentioned with DLI, Duke Learning Innovation, staff members. So if you get to the point where you're kind of like, man, I had this really perfect setup in Sakai that I used for 10 years and it's just a little bit different in Canvas from what I could tell. Maybe someone can help me figure out how to tweak it a little bit and make it a little bit more smooth. That's what those one-on-one meetings are for, those 25-minute one-on-one meetings. So yeah, if you find yourself in that situation, please take advantage of those one-on-one meetings. We're happy to help with that sort of thing.
Got a question, a follow-up about collaboration sites. So if you request the migration to Canvas for a collaboration site, can you continue to use your original Sakai project site while you edit Canvas in the background? And the answer to that is yes. You just want to be careful as you're doing that, right? So the migration tool is a point in time migration, right? It doesn't create a live connection in between Sakai and Canvas. It says, we perform the migration and we move the content over. Anything you do back in Sakai, there forward, is not reflected in Canvas. And so if you do that, you run the risk of kind of having to duplicate a little bit of effort and recreate some of those additional changes in Canvas. But you absolutely can do that if that's what you need to do to continue running your program. You've already got stuff going on in Sakai, right? So you can keep doing that. If there's not I think the ideal scenario would be there's a great point in time where you can just ask us to do that migration and then you're all done and you're over in Canvas and you don't have to think about Sakai anymore. That's not going to work for everybody, right? So if you need to do both, you absolutely can. we certainly have time if folks want to continue asking questions.
Yeah, we can sort of, we can mute ourselves and just continue to answer questions in the Q&A section. And anybody who's anyone from Learning Innovation who's answering questions in the Q&A tool, if something comes up and you think it might be good to sort of broadcast to everybody else during the next 15 minutes of our sort of Q&A session, please feel free to unmute yourself and say, I just got a great question about so-and-so, and here's the answer.
So I'm gonna take that, nice segue and say to check out the events page under the Go.Canvas website. Just a reminder for that kickoff event Seth mentioned earlier. Stop by, ask questions to us, to some early adopter faculty, grab some light refreshments, hang out.
Maybe get a prize.
Yeah, maybe get a prize. We should have led with that.
Yeah, really.
We do have some TA training scheduled because I saw someone asking a question about that, and we will continue offering that moving forward as necessary, and just so you can start getting a sense of any workshops that you want to attend as well. So as more opportunities to learn via workshop or something like this become available, this page will be updated. And then also our email list, which I don't know where to grab that offhand actually. But we can.
Go to the main page and all the way to the bottom.
Thank you. There it is, right? So you can join, if you just wanna, there are occasions where we mass email everybody, but we send more emails than that about the transition or things related to Canvas. And so if you would like more information about what's going on in Canvas, you can opt into this.
Yeah, and just to be clear, that email list, like the faculty are already on it. So really, if you're just not a faculty and you haven't been getting any of the updates, that's pretty much what that's for. So you don't need to, if you are listed as faculty, you don't need to rejoin it. You're already going to get those. And actually, there will be another message going out probably Thursday that will have a lot of the information you got in this meeting today. But you got a good deep dive today and chance to ask questions, obviously.
Got a follow-up question about migration that Marty is going to take.
Sure. Craig asked, so the initial migration of professional will request should be for only their spring 24 classes, not their entire course history data collection. So instructors that fill out the migration form should prioritize their spring 24 classes. So if you're going to be teaching 3 courses in spring, we'd recommend making sure those 3 sites that you want migrated from Sakai are the ones you are kind of prioritized there in the migration request form. But you can request up to 5 in an individual migration request. Now, with that, we're not looking to migrate all content from Sakai. So if you taught the same course for the last 6 years, twice a year, we advise submitting a request to migrate for the one that is probably, as Michael mentioned, the most polished. So the one maybe you used within the last year or so that you kind of continue to plan on to build off for the next couple years. Since these migrations don't include student data, it's not moving all assignment submissions, all quiz submissions. It's just moving the content that's created by the instructor over. So if you don't have 5 sites or 5 courses that you teach within Sakai, you can just put in fewer sites as needed. So we're not looking to just make Canvas the new archive of all past Sakai data. We request that you only move over the content that you're actually going to use. If there is stuff that you don't want to lose long term, so if you taught a site in Sakai that you may teach only once every 5 years, you can request a migration for that. But ideally, you would also keep a local copy of any of the important content on your local drive.
Thank you. All right, everybody. We're going to go ahead and close down the session. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. If you have questions after the fact, remember you can email us at canvas@duke.edu. And we really look forward to working with you over the fall and the spring. Cheers.